the grading. And at the grading time period is where you can then go to that elected official or that public servant and say, we asked you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, or whatever, and then you have a tangible report card on how they functioned. And at the end of the day, all of those tests or all of those assignments are graded, and now you have some organization or group or even an individual to say, yeah, you deserve to go back because you were responsive. You didn't get all of the answers that we wanted, but you got us some answers. And sometimes, like my dad used to say about God, he always answers prayer. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no, and sometimes it's not right now. But at least you will have gotten an answer with an opportunity to explain why you said that. In the case of God, you just say, okay, man, I trust you. Do you want to have the trust of somebody who is consistently graded with a D or an F? Or for that matter, if it's a C, do you want to say, well, that's not what we need. And as a matter of fact, we're going to take a look at whoever may be opposing you as to how they may rate or grade out. So that is what this proposal draft is about. Now that I've set it up, Charlene Henderson has been very active in precinct levels of doing some of this very stuff, of holding people accountable, getting people involved, and most of all, getting people in the vote. So with that, I'm going to defer to Charlene.
So I am the chair of Precinct 82, and that has been I'll say that precinct had not been working at its best at a period of time. And so for me, I want to make sure that I have what I need in order to get the people out to vote. And it took a little bit of maneuvering, and at that particular moment, it was Jane Whitley who was who was over the chair, who was the chair of the Mecklenburg Democratic Party, and it was hard just getting information. And so I always go around people if I can't get what I need. Precinct 82 has been organized, and we have been mobilizing. However, the demographics have changed over the years because the historic Hidden Valley, that's the part of the 82 and 42, have always been like the pillar of people's energy when it came to voting. And the good thing about it is that now we have an opportunity to leverage it. And leveraging it means that we need somebody who not only speaks our language, but who is bilingual. Because now the demographics has changed, and we have a lot of Hispanics that are in our community. So that has been number one challenge for me, and I probably need to learn how to speak Spanish. I think all of us need to, because our demographics are changing, and we have to get on board regardless whether we like it or not. And so I say that accountability and organization and communication are the three main things that we need to focus on. And I brought this map up here, and I highlighted a lot of the unorganized precincts. I'm in District 1. If anybody know, and it wasn't an issue of what wasn't going on, it was an issue that what we needed. So at one time, when in I think it was 22, that I put a lawsuit out against the city of Charlotte. Not because I wanted to, but it was because we needed a voice. We needed to be heard, and we wanted to make sure that they knew that we were fighting for our communities. And so, of course, that was the gerrymandering, the redistricting thing, and all of that good stuff. So y'all know about that. So what I'm looking for is to make sure that the precincts are organized. And I just got a screenshot of a lot of the precincts that are not organized. And when you measure that against the McDem.org's website, is this thing accurate, you think, Monifa? Because a lot of the what's on the list, like precinct 42 and 82 are organized. That's my area. And so those two are on the list. And so now when I go through it, it's a lot of these areas like Bobby Draper. I think that he's a chair of a precinct, and he's on this list, and I'm thinking that it's not on this list. So I don't know, about the discrepancies in the precincts that are not organized or organized. So we need to measure those two lists together, if possible, because that then takes a lot of these numbers down, because there's a lot of them that are not organized. So my goal is to make sure that we understand about accountability and looking at our neighbors. Like if I am in precinct 82 and 42, we have one that is right next to us that is not organized. And I brought the map because visuals are better than just someone talking at you. If you know your precinct, your area, your district, then you come up here whenever we have, in this, come up here, look at the map, and then that is a way that you can also be a part of the plan of organizing that area. That's what I intend to do. And if you have any other questions for me, I can go on and on and on. I don't want to take up the time, but it is important that we hold people accountable for the areas in which they live.
Thank you. They will handle the questions. Flashback, she mentioned 2022. I was at that city council meeting when that group of protesters were making a case before city council. And don't take my word for it, it's a matter of public record how the black city council members, not all of them, but the record will show that they sat there and openly laughed at, and you can hear on the audio, they ridiculed and disparaged the folk who they supposedly represented and who were there to make their case. In short, many of our elected officials have indicated a willingness to give you the thumbs down when you do come to make a presentation, or basically to turn a deaf ear. And thirdly, to actually disparage you when you come to make a public appearance. Don't take my word for it, go back to the record. You have before you, we the people, this proposed draft. And what I would like to do at this point would be to go, and I hope you have gone through it and perhaps even seen something there that you may have some questions about. And at the time that they call on for the questions, we will then discuss it. Again, this only came to fruition because it was at the precinct level that there was such disdain for representation that they had at that time. And they felt like they were probably not the only group that was experiencing this. Mm-hmm. And further investigation across the board, plus the comments from people who are among the voters and the non-voters who were saying the same things, they are not reflective of what it is we want them to do. They are not being accountable. They are not responsible. So over time, I crafted this. I crafted this probably 4 years ago and just kind of sat on it and sat on it and sat on it until finally I decided, don't sit on it anymore. Now, with that, Jasmine has just come in and she's getting her a cup of coffee, but I'll give her a moment later on to explain and define how it is that she has responded to this concept of the proposal. But for right now, for the sake of time, Laura, we're open to questions if you are.
Well, actually, what I like to do for Jasmine to come up,
yeah.
And she's one of the examples of what we are looking forward to leading the Tuesday Forum at some point, and that's passing the torch. But she's one of our younger attendees, and we just like for her to just share what engagements what she's involved in and what she does in our community to try to encourage young people to be involved politically.
Good morning, you guys, and my apologies for my tardiness and missing y'all last week. It was my birthday last Tuesday, so I'm sorry. Oh, who else is? I do. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I do have an identical twin sister. Good morning again. I am Jasmine Wright with I'm the Southwest Region Coordinator, for Advanced Carolina, North Carolina Black Alliance. So, when Mr. Ken called and spoke about accountability, he definitely touched me, and I'm thinking especially the work that I've been working on, essentially on a statewide level with North Carolina Black Alliance in terms of accountability. We are a C4, C3 dedicated to building Black economic and political power. So we were definitely engaged this recent elections. Honestly, after a meeting that I was on, a Zoom meeting, a debrief for Mecklenburg County that I was on last week, it kind of showed me that I fell off in Mecklenburg County in terms of engaging the Black youth or just engaging the Black folks in general. But that's one of that's the bigger thing that we're like super engaged on, as well as accountability in terms of working on policies. So I am one of those who's in Raleigh, meeting with my representative, engaging on different bills and legislation that we want to see that benefits us. But one of the things that I'm also doing as an organizer is organizing the leaders of our prospective areas. I cover Gaston, Rowan, Mecklenburg, and Cleveland. So one of the things that we were talking about in organizing right now is a leadership meeting with all the folks of that region to have a debrief after the elections. What is it that we did wrong and what can we do to move forward? I've been working with a group in Cleveland County. I'm looking to have them host this, so this event will take place in probably Kings Mountain. So if you are interested in being one of the leaders, a representative from Mecklenburg, we would love to have you a part of that. And one of the things that we were going to do was actually build off of what Mr. Ken presented in terms of how do we hold these folks accountable, let's grade them, and let's move on them. But more importantly, I think when you start from the beginning, and when I say the beginning, let's start engaging these youth like they're a part of this thing as well. Let's stop taking them to the back or letting them play outside. Let's start bringing the youth in these conversations as well so that they can be a part of the solution.
Okay. How many of you know what ALEC is? A-L-E-C. Okay. How many of you know what Project 2025 is? They are basically one and the same intended as it relates to their intended purpose. And that intended purpose is we're going to run our agenda. And we got the numbers, we're going to run them. In 2010, ALEC and the Tea Party actually did that. Now, how many of you know of an existing counterpart that reflects a Black agenda? Okay, so y'all just made my case. Now, with that, I'm going to turn it back to the facilitators.
Okay, our first question is from Yvette.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I'm really encouraged by what I hear, and thank you, Mr. Koontz, for drafting this proposal. I, like you, have had several minutes. Anyway, I'm taking up my time. I've got several questions. My first question is, in looking at this proposal, it's a great idea. One of the key things, and I know Ms. Charlene mentioned it first thing, and I think that is essential to getting us started here, is the organization of precincts, specifically Black precincts, so that we can move forward with Black agenda. Organizing of precincts, what will be the role of each organization represented here, particularly your organization, in helping us to organize our precincts? That's my first question.
Okay, from my perspective, this is my responsibility. There is a story, and I've told you what that story has been, and I have presented what I think may be an opportunity to address that story, and as a part of my responsibility as a journalist is to present it. And I have presented it, and as someone said to me, asked me earlier, so what are you going to do? I will probably follow up on this to determine, hey, what was that all for? Has there been any success, any improvements, or what's the deal? And maybe the next story will be Precinct 2 has a report card that they have drafted. And we'll write a story about Precinct 2 and maybe even talk to the representative from that precinct and get their opinion on it.
My question specifically is about a precinct organization. That's the first.
The precinct organization is these guys. They can tell you more about that than I can.
Well, County Commissioner-elect, I want to make sure that our areas that I live in are organized. And so when I look at the map, and I've been studying the map, I brought it up here. By just to give you a brief example, this is precinct 42 and 82. This is where I live, okay? And to get the areas where there's not organized, I have to look, you have to start bringing up the maps and bringing up the different demographics and precincts that they say that are unorganized and see which one is closest to your area of where you live. Just like I did. I took it upon myself to get the map, to see where I live and see what is closest to me. And when I see what's closest to me is precinct 27, which is unorganized. That's the Sugar Creek area, Craighead area. If you know of someone that lives in the area, that's the main thing. You need to go to that person because they know their neighbors. Their neighbors know their neighbors. And that is an opportunity for you to, us to make sure we get that one particular one organized. We can look at it and say, that's just too much for anybody. But you have to break things down into very minute areas. And so that's what I want to be able to do. 27, 28, 43, 3, and 104. Those are in my district and District 5. So
Repeat
that,
again.
which one? Well, in District 1, the one where we were forced into District 1 from District 4. So I had to look at a different demographic. Precinct 27, 28, 43, 3, and 104 is in 5. But in my district, which is 1, those are the ones that we're focused on. And if you see that your street is here, you'll know that, okay, let me call XYZ to see if they're more politically inclined or would like to get involved, XYZ. That's what I'm getting ready to do. I can't force anyone to do it, but it is encouraging for you to look at the map and see where you live and see what's closest to you. Call your neighbor, call whoever, and say, hey, listen, let's have a conversation. Let's drink some coffee. Let me tell you what's going on right now and what we need as organizing an unorganized precinct. This is what it takes. 1, 2, it's really 3 people that really can get that mobilized. So.
And for me, with NC Black Alliance, Advanced Carolina, and as just an organizer in general, I'm looking at that on a bigger, like as a overall level, thinking, how is it that I can find people like her to provide resources and support? So maybe she do have those 3, 4 folks that decide, it's like, yeah, I think I want to get my precinct together. Maybe we can support them having that meeting, whether it's like providing snacks, funding, maybe they want some help going on doors, they need some nonpartisan resources, or just simple, here's what's on your ballot and how it affects your everyday life type of thing. So our organization serves essentially as the resource for these folks, especially who wants to organize themselves. And one of the things that I'm thinking about, like I mentioned this group in Cleveland County that I've been supporting, this group formed themselves completely. They actually started at the Tuesday training that we had, but they formed themselves, and they meet every month. They have different committees that they set up, again, on their own. They just needed support, like, hey, we wanted to do a training about being a community organizer. So I led a community organizer 101 training. They wanted information on Project 25. We did a Project 2025 training. So we provide the resources, the materials, maybe even the funding to support what these individuals who want to do for themselves to do. Another training I'm thinking about in particular in Concord, we do a community watchdog training. They literally, people who want to get involved, especially some of our retirees, they don't have nothing to do during the day. We train them to go to courtrooms and do some court watching, or they go to city council or public meetings and they fill out a form and report it back to our group, the information that came out of those meetings. So those are some of the trainings and resources we would like to provide to extend outside of when we find these leaders. This is how you can build your leadership within your own community. And then again, like what she said, these people know their neighbors. They're going to hear and understand and see and want to do more when they hear that this is what their neighbor is doing. This is what their cousin is doing. I want to be involved too. And it's so simple, but the people don't know how simple it is. And that's what Advanced Carolina, North Carolina Black Alliance would like to do.
And follow up to that, if I were an elected official and I was in a close race or even a runaway race, I might be a little bit proactive to go into my district and convene those precinct persons and ask them, what can I do differently? What can you do differently? How can we improve this with a focus on getting more people involved, active voters, and especially when you can do some demographic targeting, those young people in those districts. The Elections Board has all of that information, so it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. And if I'm an elected official and I really want to be held accountable, I'm going to, at this time, take all the information I have and say, hey, look, we were down 20% this last election cycle. Why was that? What can we do to improve it? How can we get to these young people? And you may be surprised what you'll find out.
Tommy?
Yeah, my question is, which is the most important, economic or political? I have a problem with that. Which is most important? We own more land under segregation. We own more under segregation than we do under integration. So which is most important, political or economic?
Well, before you say it, America is a capitalistic system. And the two go hand in hand. The economics can be driven by the politics. The politics can drive the economics. So they go hand in hand, in my opinion. You don't say, why are you involved in politics when the bottom line is economics? Well, if the people in the politics don't give you the economic strength or the policy strength to improve your economic situation, you're screwed. And it's vice versa. And you don't think it's true. But I'm going to tell you, wake up, smell the coffee. I know your grandfather had 107 acres.
Debate.
I'm going to double down and agree with almost everything you just said. Like, they go hand in hand. You can't have economics without the politics. And I'm thinking, like, how I organize with Advanced Carolina, I know, like, if my organization is about to spend money, I'm looking at the black business first. So that, I feel like that's kind of how we can move. And then we had Aspire Community Capital in here, a couple months ago. It's like they are a business organization, and they were out here doing political work. They was helping me do voter registration, and that's a business organization who was dedicated to doing political work because they knew that politics affected their business. So again, I'm agreeing with you, and they go hand in hand.
Okay, Gary.
All right, good morning. Thank you for this conversation. Jasmine, I guess my question was more so poised towards you, fellow Scorpio, I didn't know that. What do you think, this is always my question to folks in this endeavor, what do you think is the keen way to get young kids involved into this voting process? Because you talk about economics. I need not tell you how socially, economically segregated Charlotte is. These kids from certain demographics of Charlotte have no interest in politics. They have no interest because they don't know these politicians. They don't believe it's for them. What is your best methods to get these kids involved? Because even when you ask the politicians themselves, these Congress people, they throw out ideas that aren't realistic to captivate their attention.
So I'm gonna say from personal experience, I got involved with elections at an early age. I was introduced to the voting cycle through being a poll worker. They say I was an athlete, so I didn't work, like a full part-time job when I was in high school. But when the poll workers came and did a training to my class, I'm like, I can get some money for this? And I worked the polls before I even had a chance to vote. That's how I got engaged. I'm thinking about my young folks now. I just said we need to stop having conversations with the kids out the room. We gotta start bringing these 6, 7, 8 years old in the room. Then we won't have to keep asking, where are the youth, where are the youth? We get them involved. I'm not saying treat them like adults, but we have to have these conversations earlier on, so as they get older, we're not looking for the youth later down the road. Now, I'm not a social media person. I mean, I have them. Definitely don't have a TikTok yet. But clearly, we make something a trend on social media, we'll get the youth vote. I know we tried to do, when I'm saying we, our media team with NC Black Alliance, we did the media thing, like the videos, or we made we did those videos, and we got some youth involved. I also think I credit our HBCU team in terms of how we've been engaging like the college, our college folks. But I feel like if we, and I hate to say this, but if we, like I said, bring those folks in young, and then money's about to be the factor. These kids want to move on money. We start teaching them how to make that money, or again, money and politics economics, politics go hand in hand. We teach them that young. Again, we already got them while they're here. So that's how I'm thinking.
Vanetta.
Good morning, and thank you, Vernetta Mitchell. If I need to have this conversation with someone one-on-one, I would love to, because I am like down here and understanding what you're talking about. So I go back to this question here from the young lady, like, what does it take to organize a precinct? What does that look like in steps? And is there, I'm sorry, Laura, I have a two-part question. And do we have a strategy on identifying what precincts are not organized so that we can start working to organize them?
Okay, Charlene and Ken.
If we could bring that to Monifa, that would be great, and get your opinion on that. So to organize precincts, and I'm actually working on organizing 3 precincts right now. Right now, there are over 40 precincts in the Black and Brown community that need to be organized. When a precinct is not organized, it disenfranchises voters. When a precinct is organized, their voter turnout increases 28%, which is what makes this so critical. The steps to organizing is you have to first find someone who is willing to be the chair, or they're not an official chair yet because they haven't been voted, but they are as acting chair. So, and then you have to also find 2 other positions, 2 other people as well. So you need the chair, someone to serve as the chair, vice chair, and secretary. If you are working on organizing a precinct, I highly encourage you to have 10 people, because you have to have at least 3 at the first meeting. So have 10 people, because people will drop off. And then after that, they will file the paperwork. And if you're working on any of these precincts, Charlene is part of African American Caucus. I'm working with the African American Caucus to help organize these precincts. So it's really not a lot of work. We do have some precinct chairs who, they do a lot. They'll do events every month. And then we have some who don't. But also what makes this so critical is that your precinct chair has the opportunity to also vote for your county party chair.
And so you want to make sure that all of the precincts have an equal opportunity to vote who's going to serve over the party for the Democratic Party. So that's why this is so important. And I can give you more information. We can exchange numbers, and I can pull you into the fold, because there's several of us who are working on this right now.
Okay,
Just one thing, and I encourage you, each and every one of you that are interested and that has a love for your community, to come up here to this map. Look at the map, look at the numbers. If you have questions about the numbers and what the map looks like, we'll be more than willing to help you. But please, come up here, look at your district, see where these communities are, see where you live, and see how you can get involved with the nearest unorganized precinct.
okay, I'm gonna ask a question.
Excuse me, it's time to remind people to keep their questions short.
30 seconds, and how long for the answer?
So give them a minute.
Okay. My question is, just for clarification, how many precincts do we have in Charlotte right now? And how many are actually organized based on what Monifa just shared with us on what it takes to have an organized precinct? Can I get someone to answer that for me?
I mean, Monifa, she would know all of the numbers, but I do believe there's 195 organized precincts.
It's 100, so we have 195 precincts?
We need the mic for the recording.
Okay. We have 195 precincts, over around between 40 and 46 are not organized currently. And so we have, I think, maybe around 130 that are organized. So there's a lot of work to do, but again, my focus really right now is on the Black precincts, getting those organized, because there's so many that are not organized.
30 that are not organized.
I have the list, I forgot his name, he sent me the list of the precincts that are not, or the Black precincts that are not organized.
Monifa wants to say, add one more thing.
So if you want to just text me, I'll send you the list of precincts. Or if you shoot me an email, my email address is Monifa, MONIF as in Frank, _Drayton, DRAYTON @live.com. And I'll just send you.
Send it to Tuesday Forum.
I'll send it right now.
Okay, and then okay, I had the next question. Sunday, I was in a meeting, and we heard from the North Carolina, one of the North Carolina Democratic, Doug Wilson. I'm not sure exactly what his title is, but he talked about what you're talking about the fact that we didn't go out to vote. And he was saying one thing that's very important that we need to consider is that we are moving far away from the civil rights movement. We have moved so far away that most of the young people have no idea about the civil rights movement. And so we need to consider that. We've moved so far and that a lot of the young people who are just eligible to vote don't even really know Barack Obama. And we made a really big deal out of him being the first African American president, but they don't even know that, really. So I think that education is going to have to be really, really important to bring back that civil rights movement motivation. So have you considered some education in there instead of just saying go vote?
Yes, ma'am. I definitely will say that a lot of our trainings are based around political education. And then even trainings, I'm gonna shout out, we actually hosted a Tuesday morning forum training where folks from other counties or other spaces across North Carolina, even some South Carolina, learned how to host a forum like this in their own counties. So I think there are different ways that we can educate folks. But in particular around our own history, we haven't developed that training just yet. In terms of, I will say one of the bigger, and it's not even a training at this point, it's a handout. One of the things that I'm proud of is how we broke down the ballot as well as the positions. So I'll say in terms of educating folks, we're there, but who all is getting the information, I think we're still missing that mark.
Good morning, panel. So let me ask you, what do you feel like we should do with the overarching sentiments of America? It suggests that black folks are undeserving, or black folks in the political process aren't worthy of being mentioned with specificity. One of my foremost heroes was Ida B. Wells. She spent her entire adult life traveling throughout the South just to get an anti-lynching campaign. Like, that's the bottom, just stop lynching. One sort of was passed 100 years after her death. How do we, and I believe that it's the people who defect from the political process because they don't want to be treated like a mistress. What do we say to them? What do we say to our candidates, the elected officials, and say we demand or we would like to have some things addressed in specificity to blackness?
Just our economic clout in itself will answer part of that, a good bit of that. But with technology now, gee whiz, take the full advantage of it, because you can reach 10,000 people with one click with your message versus how many TV stations did you hope would show up to tell your story for 2 seconds and maybe 1,500 people saw it. Taking the full advantage, I believe, of technology and your message. But there are two things that sell, and I've said this before and I'm going to tell you again: controversy and sex. You figure out a way to get controversy into it, they'll click it. They'll click it and they'll want to find out some more. But also, I think this lady here was in line for a question.
We got the questions. Don't worry about the questions again, we got it.
Good morning, Dr. Blanche Ken here. Now, I organized my precinct a couple of times, 126. I think number one, we got to get some training, a better training for the precincts. But so that's the problem for me in organizing precincts. So I'm not sure what you're doing. But my question is, with the Meg Dems, the Women Caucus, those people, it's like every time I walk into the room, there's nobody that looks like me in the room. And I want you to share with me, if you can. It might be you to have to share it, I don't know. But we were trying to do something, and then when I walked into the room, everybody in there did not look like me. So I don't understand that process. If you can share it, somebody can share that with me. And I'm African American woman.
Thank you for that clarification.
Well, I know I'm a part of the Women's Democratic Party, and I'm a part of the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. And I know sometimes you may walk in and it doesn't look like you, but last night we did have an unofficial meeting with the Mecklenburg Democratic Party. And surprisingly, it seemed as though it was about half and half, African American as well as non-African American. So I'm not sure where, when you walked into that meeting, but we are there, definitely there, trying to represent and make sure that our voices are heard. And so that's we're there. Yeah, but just keep showing up. I mean, it's so important for us to get involved with a lot of these organizations that are happening if you really care. And if you don't care, then you can't complain about what you don't see. So get more involved. And Dr. Blanche Penn, you are involved. It may be a time that we didn't want to go because of the fluff that be going on within the organizations.
I will also add, so we're nonpartisan. I definitely want to make that for sure clear. And I personally, I started out saying I did Mecklenburg a disservice. I've been on the ground physically in my other counties. I've had some folks, I have my staff here who I felt was not here. With that said, I definitely want to make sure we're connected with more organizations like Black Political Caucus. We've done some events together, but we haven't, or I felt like Mecklenburg was its own animal. So it was easier to be in Gaston or Cabarrus or Cleveland in terms of the alliance. And when it came to Mecklenburg, we were able to sponsor and host events working with other organizations. But we would love to be more involved in terms of invited to some of our partisan events. However, again, we definitely want to keep and remain nonpartisan. But we also want to make sure we're engaging with more of the other local folks on the ground, particularly the precinct. So I think it would be easier for us to connect and build with the precinct leaders individually versus the party. So that way we can say we're organizing a community versus working with the party in particular, but continue to build these leadership relationships with organizations like Black Political Caucus, NAACP, and any of the other local orgs on the ground, as well as universities. We have a new student at JCSU, so we will be on campus there.
Okay, young lady.
Hi, Destiny Jarm, Q City Metro. I was wondering, can you define what organized means? Like, is it having those 3 positions filled within a precinct, or is there more to it?
Monique just alluded to what it's back to you, Monique. Go ahead. No, I mean, you did a great job. The goal is to make sure that you have a president or a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And sometimes, I knew that mine was doing a dual role. So if you had those 3 people starting off, then, like she said, then if you can get 10 more people in your group or in that particular precinct, that would be wonderful. But 3 people are the main things that you need in order to get the organized precinct ready to go for whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's voting, doing events, or having meetings, constantly trying to make sure you motivate your community to get out the vote. And I would love to see, as we organize, let's bring some more education, just simple words, simple things that can help motivate the people and get them charged up. And at least, because truth to power is real. And if we don't at least give them information that is valuable to them, then they're not going to be interested. So again, those 3 first starters, your chair, your vice chair, and your secretary and treasurer, they can do a dual role. But a lot of times they say 5 people is what it's going to really make that organization be organized. Make that precinct be organized.
Okay.
April Benson. I'm a state chair for the African American Caucus. We went across the state to help organize. I think you said it. They are more appreciative when you come into their county to help them to organize. They do really, the other counties, they do really appreciate that, because a lot of times what we know here in the city of Mecklenburg County, your rural areas, they don't know. So we did do some organizing here. I think Charlene, you was a part of that. When we did it up here on Tom Hunter Road, and we did it as a workshop. And they brought their people with them that's going to be doing those, that's going to be over those precincts. So maybe that's something that we can do again. We'll collaborate to do that also through the caucus, because we do still have material to help organize those caucuses as well as what we have to do for the state. But my question also is, what's the turnaround, Charlene, to organize to start working on, because we just can't talk about it. You talk about doing it. So what's the turnaround like 3 weeks, next month, the spring, to go ahead and start organizing our precincts, because they are our precincts.
Well, I wish I was making the big bucks to give you that particular answer. The turnaround is now. We have a new election that's coming up in 2025, and those precincts that are not organized will be crucial to what we are in need of. If we need new representation, then we need new precincts organized in order for them to understand. Oh, you just gonna let it fall like that?
There you go.
So the whole point is now or never. Let's just make sure that we get the job done. Let's look at this again. Let's look at the map, see where you live, and see what is not organized. Let's go to, is it vote? It's a registration tab that is for Mecklenburg. Vote.mec.nc, I ain't got my glasses on, y'all, .gov, and go onto that website. Click on the voter registration and voter location, and just stroll up and see all of these precincts that do have leaders. But then if you measure the precincts that are unorganized, then that's your job. You are charged to help in that organizing of the precinct.
Unless there's some reason to feel threatened by it, your elected official for your particular precinct or district should also be involved in that. I would like to think that a representative would like to have a strongly organized district. It's critical to his own sense of, I'm gonna get elected and I'm gonna stay elected, and I ain't never getting down because I know people ain't organized and it's a popularity contest. Perhaps get your elected officials involved, and hopefully they don't see organization as a threat to their own success, continued success, because the precinct doesn't feel like you're doing anything for them. So I would think that your elected officials should play a major role in helping to get these places organized.
Good morning. Forgive me for missing the earlier part of the segment, and I'm just being personal and forthright. I am a lifelong Democrat. I don't think I've missed an election to vote probably in 30 years. So what do you tell to the person who is like, what's the point of this? What is the point of being involved with a party that delivers rarely? And you still, it's like being in an abusive relationship. You keep getting your behind beat, they give you gifts, and I'm sorry, and then they do the same thing again, worse. So what is the plan for that to kind of, and I've never been in an abusive relationship, that is just an analogy, but talk to me and talk to these young people and the next generation about why I should even have skin in the game. Because right now, I know I don't see it. And so I don't see it. What's the point?
Part of your answer is in this: accountability. Accountability. You make an assignment, you hold them accountable. You take whatever that accountability is.
So, okay.
No,
I know, I got to say.
That's only a part of it, to answer your question.
The Muslims, okay, you made an agreement, and they said, look, if you don't stop and create a ceasefire, we're not going to vote. They cut off the nose to spite the face. They did that. We lost the election. They made it wrong. So now there's going to be allegiance probably to the Muslim. Okay, Laura, I don't have a mic. Sorry.
Okay. We have Gary and we have Yvette, but what I like to do right now is just say that Ken said he has a proposal here, and we're talking about accountability. And we're throwing blame around and we're coming up with ideas, and we have the various organizations, but accountability starts with a commitment. And who is willing to take what Ken has here? Is Ken willing to take an idea to make sure that the precincts are organized adequately, especially those in the black community, is Jasmine willing to make the commitment with the North Carolina Alliance to do what needs to be done? Who is going to organize this? We're talking about accountability with our elected officials, but we are being held accountable as non-functioning communities as well with what we're talking about this morning. So Ken has brought this, and we need to make sure that we understand, but we are in all different directions on ideas on how we can make things work. But who's going to be committed enough to be held accountable for making sure that we are bringing what we're discussing here today together? Who will be the group or the person or the individuals who's going to make this happen? That's what I want to hear and understand and know, because we can talk about the precinct chairs, and I don't know how many we have here right now, but are they here? I agreed to have Ken call the precinct chairs to invite them personally to come to the Tuesday Forum. I never received a list to call them. So I don't know how many are here, and I'm glad all of you that are here, but just to be held accountable for a commitment to make something work is what we need to hear right now.
First of all, that list you requested is available at the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections. That is there. That's the first thing. Secondly, as it relates to my accountability, as I said in the outset, as a journalist, I saw that there was a lingering story and a way that it could be part. This is only a part of, this ain't intended to be the end all for everything. Heck no. But the fact that these folks were willing to talk about what the issue of organization and how much it plays a part of it, you know, I defer to them. I defer to anybody that has any other ideas. This is simply a proposal and a talking point. And as I said to you before, my responsibility is to at least put it out there and let whoever is in that lane deal with it. And I've dealt with it. And this has been on my computer for about 8 years as a result of some other precinct people. So I'm
Okay, thank you, Ken. Gary.
Yes, good morning. My name is Gary Marion. I'm a 65-year-old disabled Marine Corps veteran. Been a Marine for 45 years. Leadership traits, all acquired during boot camp for me. Justice, judgment, decisiveness, integrity, dependability, tact, initiative, enthusiasm, bearing, unselfishness, courage, knowledge, loyalty, and endurance. I never lost my squad leader position, and all my guys graduated. That was the best thing that ever happened to me, other than bringing my kids into this world. Now, since I've been here in Charlotte,
You have the
I'm gonna
question.
give you the question. I'm not gonna be treated like a slave today.
We're not treating you like a slave.
Well, every time I speak, there's always, hurry up. You get other people that get up here, speak for 45, 50 seconds, a minute and a half.
Ask your question.
Okay. Quickly. Based on the abuse and neglect and harassment and false charges that have been bestowed upon me by my neighbors, the mayor, the chief of police, I have no confidence in them. My question, everybody has known about my situation. Nobody has done nothing for me. Where's the leadership? Where's the integrity? Charlene, you came to my house. You sat in my yard. We spoke specifically about some stuff. You made plans for me. And my question, here it is. Charlene made plans with the doctor for me to participate. Never happened. You didn't call me. You didn't say it was
Okay,
done.
okay.
Why not? Let's talk about responsibility and accountability. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you for that.
How can we have any movement of whatever you're talking about if you're not accountable?
Okay, well, Charlene will talk with you
Period.
perhaps after we get.
This goes for everybody.
Okay.
I love this program. I did radio, so that's why I talk a lot. Worked in TV too.
Okay,
Actions prove who someone is. Words prove who you just want to be.
okay, we have Yvette.
Oh, okay, I would like to just respond for a brief second.
We don't, now this, we're not getting into a debate
Yes,
here
ma'am.
today.
No, it's not a debate.
We're talking about accountability. It's on the paper here. Confidence, improvement. What's the whole purpose of this?
Talk to me afterwards and I'll talk to you about that proposal. You got in your hand that says proposal.
Okay, so, young man, if that is an accountability, that is my top priority is accountability. What myself and Dr. Blanche Penn did was invited you in, and I did my piece. I gave the information, and because a lot of times when we hold events, they get overwhelming, and sometimes people get overlooked, and it wasn't intentional, and you know my integrity. So those words that you define me. And so I'm sorry that you feel that way. I can attest that I did my part, okay?
Okay.
Good morning again. I'm not just elected, I'm also chair of Precinct 89. I have been to at least 3 meetings talking about what we're talking about here in accountability and organizing. But I know that there are different individuals from each of those meetings that care. So what I would like to ask is if we can have a central place, North Carolina Black Alliance, Tuesday Morning Forum, where the information is consistent, you can post it to your website and we can broadcast, Mr. Koontz, to the community. Can we do that? Share the same information, broadcast it to the black community so that there is no black hole of communication. Can we do that? Because I've got some information from all of these meetings that is pertinent to what the questions being answered here. I've got pertinent information, so does Monifa, but we just need to get all of the groups interested in doing the same thing in the same room, on the same page. Can we do that?
Does either one of you, I want to
I mean,
respond to that?
absolutely. You being a leader of our county right now, so we can start with you as well, being a chair. Now, this information was submitted, and I just wanted to make sure that we bring it back around clearly. And it states Mecklenburg County has 194 precincts. As of September 2024, there is 55 precincts there that were not organized. 80% of the unorganized precincts are designated African Americans, African American 30% or more. The African American Caucus of Mecklenburg County Democratic Party has the lead role in assisting in organizing these precincts. In addition, it is a priority of the North Carolina Democratic Party 12th Congressional District, and that is William Mitchell. A lot of you may know William Mitchell, which he gives his email, is to organize those congressional district precincts. If you are interested in organizing a precinct of Mecklenburg County, please contact, this is the African American Caucus, okay? S.Y. Mason Watson, she's the first vice chair of the African American Caucus, and it gives her email, symw10@gmail.com. Her phone number is 704-206-0353. And Tanya Lewis, who is the chair of Precinct 13 and the first vice chair of the 12th Congressional District. And her email is chair@mecdempct13.org. So that kind of helps us understand that we do have a place that can zoom in and we can get a lot of these things organized, along with, of course, Ms. Monifa Drayton, I'm sorry. So we have the power within our grasp. We just have to make sure we make it clear to everybody. And if you're not part of the African American Caucus, please try to figure out how you can be a part of it. That way you can really zoom in on helping us organize these unorganized precincts. Again, I tell you to look at the mapping behind you. Make sure you look at where you are and see what's closest to you. And that way we can, help each other.
The one thing that I am most proud of this morning is the fact that we brought a whole lot of stuff out that needed to be out, and organization is one of the key critical issues. So none of this works, accountability or anything else, unless you've got some organization behind it. And the one thing that we learned this morning is that there's a whole lot of disorganization, unorganized, that needs to happen. And if nothing else comes out of today's forum other than that, then I am proud. And if you chose not to go online to access the information you wanted and needed and it was available to you, I don't apologize for any of that.
Okay, I just wanted to say that today, we're almost finished now, but today's presentation and discussion was supposed to be the We the People Alliance. And we have spent the entire time talking about precinct organization. I don't know if our presenters understood that the topic was this, okay? And I'm just saying that to say that I don't think we discussed this. We talked about precincts, and I'm kind of not understanding.
Let me see if I can
what
help
happened.
Let me see if I can help you.
But that's okay. But
No,
that's
no,
okay.
it's not. It's not.
I mean, we need to know about precincts, but it was not what was to be discussed today. Okay?
Well, I think it was, and I think it was quite effective that we now know that the bottom line of all of this starts with something that perhaps needs considerable improvement, that is organization. And if that's what it took to get us to understand, appreciate this, and later, if necessary, implement or whatever, that's fine. I only wanted to present a concept, and what I found out is that the majority concept is that we need to be better organized, which is a part of why we don't have this.
Shay.
Quick question is, who's going to pay for all this? Where's the money going to come from?
Your heart.
So this is, do we really need money? We need mobility. We need people to organize. That means you have phones. I have all of this technology right here, and I grasp like we can't always look for funding for every little thing. And I know that and I work tirelessly, hard at what I do. And again, I don't get paid for a lot of this stuff. I don't get paid for really none of it. But it's the heart that I have for the community. So if you believe in what we're saying, why do you need money to be funding something? It's just paper and digital devices that I feel like can make sure that things are happening. We don't come in this door and get paid every Tuesday. Yeah, if y'all do, I'm okay. But I know I don't. But we come because we care about what's going on and we want more information. And so adding another piece to the puzzle doesn't hurt. This is a local place where we all congregate. Why not have this where it happens here every Tuesday, unofficially, right? So everything is always about $1, and I don't think that should be. If you love your city, your county, your state, then you do.
I feel like I want to kind of wrap it all up in a bow to considering what you had just mentioned. This felt all precinct related. I'll agree, but I want to expound on the fact that I feel like it starts with the people, the individual people. And when you look at this proposal, again, it's just a suggestion, but we can't have the suggestion without the people first. And that precinct start might be the way that we can at least organize at the very least. And when you think about each potential bullet point in this, you got, like Ken said, so let me actually take it back to what you mentioned. You asked, what's the role? What is everybody's roles? So when I think about our organization, we're serving as a resource or as a tool for these different organizations. Everybody has their own role. Black Political Caucus is doing this. NAACP is doing this. I think the idea is, how can we bring this all together as an alliance and move it forward? And again, it may start through that precinct organization, but I think the idea is, how can we understand everybody's role and organize and mobilize and move forward? If this, even if this is just a suggestion. So I feel like, I think what Mr. Ken said, it might not be what you had expected of us. Honestly, it's kind of surprised. I mean, I knew we talked about it. I didn't think I was gonna be up here, but I do feel honored and privileged to be a part of the conversation of bringing folks together as an alliance.
Okay. That being said, we'd like to thank our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause. It has been a little busy this morning, but we're looking forward to committed people making a difference by coming together and putting this all together. Now, that commitment, I don't know where it's going to come from, but it starts with the commitment. And I'd just like to reiterate something that Ken did say about the Tuesday Forum. We know 7 or more, because people that are committed to the Tuesday Forum. We show up, and all of us have a role to play, and we like to disseminate information. But whatever role you're in, or whatever your passion is, we ask you to grab it and try to do something to make this work. Let's make it work. We can make it happen. We didn't know who was going to show up, but from what we have heard this morning, we are divided, and we need to come together and make a difference, to make a difference in the next election in 2025. Accountability is going to come if we do what we need to do to have a comprehensive plan in place for our community to work this. So once again, this is a start. This is a beginning. We can walk out of here and not communicate with each other until next Tuesday or whenever we have our Christmas party, whatever. Or we can try to get together and come together as a people and start working on all that has been said here today. Do we have a secretary? No, but we have a taping, so you can go back and visit what we talked about and what you said individually about what you want to do to make a difference in this community. So that's all I ask you to do, is let someone raise their hand and say, okay, I'll lead this charge to try to bring us together, because we definitely need to make it happen. So with that being said, Ken, you can have your last statement, and we have a few minutes. We'd like to get a last and ending statement from each one of you, and then we're going to try to take announcements.
I'd just like to say I'm going to take the responsibility, as I said in the outset, and that is to be the catalyst to tell the story. And whatever happens as a result of having told the story, that won't be on me. It'll just be on the people who read the story, saw the need, and were willing to step forward to do it. So I have presented, I have told the story, and you have told a story also that expands on the story. And actually, what I heard today is this don't work until you get some organization. So with that, I say it's been a morning well spent.
Again, thank you for having me here. Definitely want to connect with folks who are organizing. Love to connect with folks who want the resources, the materials, the data. I feel like these are the little things that we can actually offer to build and do more. I will also say, mark your calendars or save the date. I am looking to organize across the region, like I mentioned, to have these leaders. So if you do identify as a Charlotte leader, please save the date. I'm sorry, Black leader, no offense. For January 25th, we are looking to meet in Kings Mountain, and I'll get that information to you all. So yes, if you are a Mecklenburg leader, please save that date.
So thank you for allowing me to be here on the panel. Listen, y'all, it boils down to making sure that you hold people accountable, okay? If we're talking about elected officials, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or if you feel like they're not representing your community, well then make a stand. Like, you can't complain if you don't do anything about it. Like, they need to know that they deserve more, or you deserve more and better. So with these precincts being organized, this is an opportunity for us to really dive deep into what politics look like, civics look like, all of that, and get with the African American Caucus of Mecklenburg County and just say, what can I do? That's it. What can I do? We can't point the finger because 3 of them are pointed back at you. So what can you do to help get these unorganized precincts together? What can you do to begin to, we the people, get this proposal on track? So thank you again for allowing me to speak, but we got some work to do. And I'm a precinct chair of 82. Talk to me. Let me know if you need help. Don't be afraid to jump out there because the work is here.
Okay, now we take announcements.
Just a quick announcement, piggybacking on what Charlene Henderson said, that African American Caucus, we are taking membership at this time. Braxton Biko is the local chair for Mecklenburg County. So if you're still looking for auxiliary to be a part of, because we do a lot of work. I am a state chair. So please join us with the African American Caucus. I think we meet on Tuesday here in Mecklenburg. Was it Tuesday, Wednesday, Charlene?
It's on Zoom.
Yes, it's a Zoom meeting. So, and I can take your email, or you can give it to Charlene so she can add you, so you'll know exactly where to go and how to get acquainted with the African American Caucus.
No more announcements? Okay.
So there are 2 precincts that are being organized right now, Precinct 43 and Precinct 126. We need 10 people to show up to those. So please check to see which precincts you are in, as we would love to have you. We have 2 dynamic leaders who are going to lead those precincts, so 43 and 126.
Where are they? Look at the map.
Oh, that's, you're right, I should do that. 43 is, okay. So 43 is, okay, so 43 is near Shannon Park, the Shannon Park area. And then 126 is like near IKEA, on like IKEA Boulevard and that area. So just check your voter registration card. Your precinct number's on there. You can go to the State Board of Elections. You can find out which precinct you're in. But 43 and 126. So near IKEA Boulevard, like near that university, a little bit outside of university, and then Shannon Park, that Shannon Park area.
That's off the left.
Yeah.
The Caldwell Presbyterian Church this Saturday is doing a forum with other faith partners on how churches can leverage to be more involved in affordable home ownership and to build housing. And that forum is going to be from 8:30 to 2. Lunch will be provided. They really are reaching out to all churches in the community to address the affordable housing issue. There was an article in the paper, or there was an article on, I think, WB-TV. But if you just Google Caldwell Presbyterian Church Affordable Housing Forum, make a reservation, and hope to see you there on Saturday. I think, again, it's from 8:30 to 2, and it's free.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your being here. We will not be having the Tuesday forum on next Tuesday, and we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. and enjoy your families and friends. Thank you for coming.